This is the second part of the recording.
Okay, let's take a look at the doubling core as one of the metadata scheme example. There are 15 elements to represent digital resources. You may take a look what they wanted to represent, and you can practice by yourself using one of your book that try to see whether doubling core is like reasonable, or what can be added, or what can be you think it's duplicate. Okay, so title, creator, subject, description, publisher, contributor, date, type, format, identifier, source, language, relation, coverage, rights. As we talk about that, metadata composed of the elements, right? So each element needs a name, and each element also needs a definition. We call it the semantics. And also the semantics describe the information content associated with an element. So from the example of doubling core, there is element as title. The semantic definition of a title is a name given to the resource. So comment, the explanation of the semantics is typically a title will be a name by which the resources are formally known. This is an example of doubling core for the element. When you visit this URL, you can see the whole element with the definition and comment. There are many metadata schemes have been developed, and our textbook provides good introduction about each metadata scheme. So just scan about those the metadata schemes. Again, there are many metadata schemes developed, and I give one example in NJEDL, which is New Jersey Environmental Digital Library, which I participated the project as metadata indexer. We use the metadata scheme from FGDC, and I remember that we had more than 10 elements when we initially started, but now it seems like reduced like a 9. I'm not sure. So anyway, that's just I just want to give you one of the example as a metadata scheme. Okay. So we have discussed about how to structure your representation. Okay, so we discussed about the selecting object attributes to represent and labeling attributes through the metadata elements, and defining the elements to indicate information about the object to record. Our next step would be modeling a database structure and creating rules for the content of the record. AACR2 would be a good example of a metadata scheme. AACR2 is Anglo-American Cataloging Rules second edition. Now it's replaced by RDA, Resource Description and Access. But the AACR2 has a structure of the rules, and it provides general rules and rules for different formats, and also the analytics. So again, we need to discuss about the rules. The rules are field specific, and rules for you need to have rules for creating representations contain source used to locate data to enter into field and form of entry, and you also have to have rule about the decision about the order, sequence of entries, decision about inclusion, exclusion, and also representing all formats, and also punctuation. So the rules help to provide standardization of entries, format, consistency, and maintain integrity of records and database or catalog. So consistency and standardization aid the users in understanding, interpreting representations, right? Let's briefly discuss about the RDF, Resource Description Framework. Um, Structured information can be constructed as statements that machine can read. Structuring information this way makes it flexible and facilitates reuse by multiple communities. Let's take a look the chart, maybe graph. I don't know what it calls. RDF, Resource Description Framework, structured metadata enables the exchange and reuse of metadata in ways that semantically ambiguous. In other words, IDF allows machines to understand what's being said by the metadata. So this is accomplished by communicating metadata statement in the form of triples. So IDF statements, for example, triples contain, as you can see, three components: a subject, a predicate, and an object. So in the model, a subject is any resource can be uniquely identified by the URI, and resources have properties, and properties have a value. So the property is the predicate in the RDF statement, and the object is its value. So which can be a string of characteristic or a URI for another resource. So in as an example, here is a Hamlet and playwright Shakespeare William. So Shakespeare William can be value of the object, and the predicate. A playwright can be attribute of a subject as a predicate, right? So the statement is attribute value pair that makes linguistic assertion about some resource. And so the predicate establish the relationship between subject and its object, right? And the object value a characteristics of the subject and define the semantics of that characteristic. So this construction of subject, predicate, object is called a triple in a semantic web standard. As I said, it's RDF, Resource Description Framework, and you can visit this website from W3C, and it's created by W3C to foster the creation of structured data about the resources. Specifically is a standard model for data interchange on the web, and RDF has features that facilitate data merging even if the underlying schemes differ, and it specifically support the evolution of schemas over time without requiring all the data concerns to be exchanged. Marcia Bates' article in 1986, What's a Reference Book, she mentioned that statements needn't be bounded. They can be aggregated, bounded, or disaggregated. So as you can see, there are many subject, predicate, and object that you can make it. Okay, and you also need to have think about the relationship, and also provide more access point for the object. Okay, and each has the each value. So, when a description is composed of a bounded set of statements, each statement is still individual, can be used as well. But in traditional mark cataloging record, the statements are not easily made into individuals, in part because the mixed types of data in single field, as you can see in this example, there are many mixed field and also the object. I mean the different types of field that the computer cannot distinguish by. Okay. And also, in addition, sometimes different types of values are in the same field, so there's no way to disambiguate that data. So new standards are being developed around linked data, in particular scheme.org, sponsored by Bing, Google, and Yahoo. We will be discussing about the linked data when we cover the I think access and authority control. Okay, so we will be discussing linked data more at the time. The libraries are likely to move directly from a marked environment to an unbounded world of metadata statements using a linked data model. Okay. So now you can exercise representing object. Okay. I think you can practice this when you do your big paper, I guess, the information organization system project, right? So when you do that exercise, you need to make the metadata, basically metadata. So you need to determine the entity level and identify and select the attribute of entity to represent. And so finally you develop the metadata scheme. Okay. Again, you need to practice about writing semantics for each field and the rules for each field that encompass all formats in the collection. Okay, again, you can do this exercise when you work on your information organization system project. We will be discussing more metadata for next several weeks. I guess more than 2 or 3 weeks, right? So we covered a lot today. Although I'm really worried because it's too brief, I mentioned. But again, your textbook provides very good explanation, and also other readings that I asked to read might helpful to understand what's metadata and what you need to basically understand about the metadata. Okay, thanks for listening, and let's cheer up. Although it's heavy for on your beginning of the semester. Thank you for listening.